You don't remember how you got here. The first thing you feel is weight. Cold. Heavy. Pressing against your chest. You try to breathe, but the air is thick. Damp. Wrong. Something shifts beneath your cheek. Not soil. Something harder. Something shaped. There's a smell. Wet earth. Rot. Something sweet and sickening underneath it. And then you hear it. A dull, hollow thud above you. Wood. Metal. Movement. More dirt falls. Small grains at first, then heavier. Hitting your face. Your lips. Your eyes. You don't move. You can't. Because suddenly you understand. You are not alone in this pit. And the ones above you think you are already dead. In 19th century London, plague pits and mass burial trenches were filled quickly, often without certainty. Bodies stacked, covered, forgotten, sometimes too soon. And tonight, you are the one beneath the soil. You feel the weight shift again. Another shovelful. Closer this time. This is not a horror story. This is history. The soil above your mouth, you don't move. At first, it's not courage. It's confusion. The earth presses against your lips, cold and wet, packed so tightly that even the slightest act of swallowing feels dangerous. A grain of sand sits under your tongue. Another is stuck in the corner of one eye. Your neck aches from a twist you can't straighten out. One shoulder is lower than the other. Something hard presses against your ribs. Not a rock, maybe a bone, or a tree, or the edge of a box, already split by weight and time. Above you, somewhere above the soil and the dark old wood, a sound comes through the earth. A crunch, a pause, then a dull metallic thud, cutting through the packed earth and into your teeth. You stand still, not because you understand anything yet, because something ancient in your body knows that calm is cheaper than panic. The smell tells you where you are before your mind can say it. Wet clay, rot, old water, a sweetness gone bad. Not the clean smell of fresh rain on cobblestones, not the river smell of tar and dirt and horse manure that hangs over the city at dusk, but something trapped, sealed, breathed in once and never aired again. Then another sound, the thud of a fall. Soil. First a few grains, then more. Loose earth touches your forehead. It slides down the bridge of your nose. It collects in the hollow above your upper lip. You close your eyes. Someone is digging above you. And worse than that, someone is digging where no one should be digging at all. For a long moment, it is the whole world. Wait. Darkness. Breath. The quiet thunder of your own heart. Then the memory comes back in broken pieces. Not kindly, not in order, but like the mind opening old drawers in the wrong room. A lantern swings in the fog. Boots skid in the alley behind Bishopsgate. A man in a black coat says that the parish will only pay for 2 nights of work, not 3. Another voice replies that the land there has been plowed before, many years ago, and should not be plowed again. Laughter after that. Quiet laughter. Cemetery laughter. The kind laugh that people use when they are tired, underpaid, and too close to the dead to leave superstition alone. You remember the shovel in your own hands, the blisters under your gloves, the quiet cough of the watchman who swore he had worked on the cholera-ridden land in Bermondsey and had seen worse. You remember not believing him. That was before the shovel hit something that answered. Not stone, not wood, something moving, something that answered. A new tremor runs through the ground above your face. The packed earth has not fully settled. There is a looseness here, a hollow, air somewhere, a crack in the ground that has been left open for too long. You try to breathe through your nose and feel the cold dampness, but also the slightest draft. You are not buried in the old way, not in a coffin under 6 feet of compacted clay. You are stuck in a wound in the ground. The thought comes quietly, and with it something worse. If there is a wound, it may close. The instinct to fight rises so suddenly that it almost overwhelms you. Every muscle along your throat and jaw tenses. Your hands, wherever they are, clenched, chained, useless, seem to remember that they belong to a living body. Your chest needs one deep, desperate breath. You don't take one. Instead, you listen. Boots above you. 2 men at least. One heavy-legged, one dragging his left foot a little, a man with a cough, and another. Then a voice, blurred by the earth. Calm down. The words are muffled, but not so much that you can't tell their unease. Another scrape, another pause. Then the second man says, I told you this piece of land was the wrong one. Wrong. Even through the fear, the word holds coldly. Not haunted. Not cursed. Wrong. As if the land itself had a history that people like that shouldn't be disturbed. A bead of sweat slides from your temple to your ear. You can't lift your shoulder to wipe it. The itching becomes unbelievable. Your body is absurd with terror. It notices everything. The rustle of coarse fabric on your neck, numbness in your left calf, the torn edge of a nail bent earlier in the night, the sharp smell of iron from the shovel, the warm animal smell of one's own fear, growing stale in a place without air. You try to remember how long you have been here. The answer does not come. Only fragments. The lane, the fog, the job, the ground behind the old wall where no respectable family came now, where stones had sunk and names had worn to nothing, where the parish men muttered that one more trench would do no harm because there had been so many before. London is full of such places. Little enclosures the living hurry past, yards behind chapels, corners beside hospitals, burial grounds folded between warehouses and alleys and courts so mean that the sun arrives there only by mistake. By daylight, they look merely neglected. At night, they become mouths. You had come because work is work, and the dead do not bargain. The living do, and badly. By the time the bells struck 9, the city was already damp with evening. Cartwheels hissed through mud. Somewhere beyond the narrow streets, a carriage horse screamed, in the way horses sometimes do, like a person remembering pain. The watchman had spat into the gutter and said the place was older than the parish books admitted. Roman, some said. Plague, said others. Pest ground. Overflow ground. A place used when death came too quickly for ordinary manners. You had laughed. Not because you believed him foolish. Because poor men cannot afford to believe every warning that comes to them. If they did, they would never step onto scaffolds, never clean cesspits, never carry fever mattresses, never lower coffins into earth that had taken too many already. The city runs on men who go where wiser men will not. Tonight, that man is you. A heavier cascade of soil strikes your cheek. You flinch before you can stop yourself. Above, silence. Perfect silence. Even the city seems to retreat in that instant. No wheel, no horse, no distant call, only the close dark and the wet breath of the ground. Then faintly, "Did you hear that?" The voice is the coughing man's. No answer at first. Then the other, trying for contempt and failing. Ground settling. You close your eyes again. You understand now that the first danger is not the earth. It is sound. If they hear you, what will they think? That a trapped laborer lies below? Or that something old in the burial trench has found a way to move? Men who work nights with graves are not brave in the same shape as soldiers. They know the exact size of fear. They know what swollen faces look like under cloth, what a child's coffin weighs, how a pauper's grave sinks after rain. And because they know so much, they are also quick to bolt when something slips outside the ordinary. The dead may be accepted, but the dead that answer back are another matter. That ought to comfort you. If they panic, they might dig. But another thought follows hard upon it. If they panic, they might run. And if they run, they leave you here. The soil seems colder after that. You listen for the second man. Hear him shifting. Hear the handle of the shovel scrape against his palm. A third voice speaks then, surprising you. Higher. Younger. You should leave it. The apprentice. There had been a boy with them, 16 at most. Narrow shoulders. Lantern cheeks. You remember him now? Standing apart from the trench, pretending not to look frightened because the older men would mock him if he did. You should leave it till morning, the boy says. Morning costs money, answers the heavy-footed man. The boy says nothing. Neither do you. Somewhere very near your trapped right hand, water gathers and drips. Slow, patient, one drop, then another. Not enough to drown, enough to count time by, enough to understand that this place has been wet for years, that coffins here would have rotted, that boards would have bowed, then collapsed, that bones would have settled downward through softer seams of clay and silt, that the trench above might not be one trench at all, but many cut into many, old burials layered beneath newer burials, beneath rubble, beneath more recent dead. A city does not truly bury what it fears. It builds on top of it. Another memory returns. Earlier that evening, the watchman had lifted his lantern toward a broken stone near the wall. No name on it, only a date nearly gone. He had said that in bad years, London had no patience for ceremony. The carts came too often. The bells rang too steadily. Men stopped asking who lay where. They wanted only distance, depth, lime when there was lime, speed when there was no lime. By dawn, a field could be a burial ground. By next season, a burial ground could be a yard again. And boys would kick a ball above people laid down without prayer enough to remember them. He had said it almost casually, as if the worst things in a city are always spoken of that way. You had answered that this was old history. He had looked at you strangely then. Old ground doesn't stay old in London, he said. At the time, the words seemed merely theatrical. Now they sit in your skull like a nail. Above, the men have begun arguing more quietly, which is worse than if they shouted. Whispered fear spreads faster than open fear. You catch pieces. Not on the list. Too many here already. Hear me, Tom, I felt it. The apprentice says, There's air coming up. No one answers him. Air coming up. So it is not only your imagination. There is a pocket below. A chamber, perhaps. A collapsed coffin vault. An older cut in the earth where the soil has bridged and held until a careless spade broke through. You want to call out then? Not loudly. Just a word. Here. But the word stalls behind your teeth because another thought, black and immediate, opens in the dark. If there is a chamber, what else is in it? The hard thing under your ribs, the shape near your shoulder, the empty space by your knees, the old, sweet stink, the way the soil has not fully claimed you. Perhaps you did not fall into dirt alone. Perhaps you fell among the arranged remains of other mistakes. You keep still. The body understands terror before language does. it understands that some discoveries must wait, that some truths become deadlier the instant they are named. A rat runs somewhere overhead, tiny feet scratching over timber. The sound should be common enough in any London dark, yet here it feels intimate, insolent. Above-ground life going on as usual while you lie inches from becoming part of the place. That thought angers you, surprisingly. Not the rat, the city, its endless indifference. How many have vanished into it without noise enough to matter? Men from work crews, fever patients from alleys, women from lodging houses, children wrapped in borrowed cloth, poor souls lowered into ground that had forgotten how to separate one body from the next. The anger helps. It clears a small space in the panic. You test your fingers, the left first, nothing. Then a faint return, as if the hand belongs to someone far away. The right, pain, sharp and bright. Good. Pain is a map. You are still in yourself. You try not to think what the men above are deciding. Instead, you follow the map inward. Wrist, elbow, shoulder, neck. A slow inventory in the dark. Your chest can rise a little, not much. Your left leg is pinned. Your right perhaps free below the knee. Soil across the collarbone. Greater pressure across the lower body. Something rigid at your side. Broken plank? Coffin lid? If you could shift against it, no. Too soon. Movement is a coin you may spend only once. Above, one set of boots moves away. You freeze harder than before, which seems impossible. The apprentice calls after him, "Where are you going?" "For another lamp." The answer comes too quickly. A lie, perhaps, or half a lie. Men say lamp when they mean witness. They say rope when they mean I do not wish to climb down alone. The second man remains. You hear him breathing. Hear the faint metallic tap of the shovel resting against stone or iron. Then to the boy. If that ground speaks again, you say nothing of it. "You hear me?" The boy does not answer. "Do you hear me?" "Yes." "Good." A pause. Then the boy, so softly, you nearly miss it. "But if it's a man?" No answer. The silence after that is worse than anything yet. Because now the question is in the open. Not ghost, not bad ground, not devil. A man. A man under the soil. And no one above you knows whether saving him is worth the trouble. You swallow mud. A tiny miserable sound escapes your throat. Above, both of them hear it. There is no pretending otherwise. The shovel lifts. The boy gasps. And in the long, still second before anyone speaks, before anyone chooses whether to dig you out or bury the noise forever, you understand something that all London understands eventually. Whether in a hospital ward, a workhouse bed, a prison cell, or a trench in forgotten ground. The city is never most dangerous when it hates you. It is most dangerous when it has not yet decided whether you are worth keeping. The boy with the lantern. No one digs at once. That is the first cruelty. Not the soil, not the weight, not even the knowledge that your mouth is one bad breath away from filling with mud. The first cruelty is hesitation. Above you, the three of them stand in a silence so complete that you can begin to tell them apart by the way they do not move. The boy is the easiest. His fear is alive. It shifts its feet. It snatches at breath. It trembles in the little muscles of the throat. The older men are quieter. Their fear has work clothes on. It does not gasp. It measures. It calculates cost. A lantern changes hands. You know this not by sight, but by the soft ring of metal against metal, the knock of handle against shovel shaft. and the sudden change in the air above you as one of them leans closer to the cut in the ground. Then a voice. Not the heavy-footed man. The boy. "Sir." No answer. I heard it proper that time. Another pause. Then the coffer says, "So did I." You lie there, feeling your own heartbeat in the dirt around your face, and understand that sound has become your only language. They know now. Not certainly. Not enough to act cleanly, but enough that the old excuses have thinned. Ground settling. Rats. Loose timber. Not anymore. The heavy-footed man clears his throat. When he speaks, his voice has the hard flatness of someone already trying to master the story he will tell later. If there's a gap below, it's from old work. Coffin gone soft. Board slipped. Air comes up. That's all. The boy says, "Boards don't swallow men." No one laughs. That, more than anything, tells you how frightened they are. A little dirt slides down over your left cheek. You dare not twitch it off. A grain catches in your lashes. The eye waters helplessly. Somewhere by your temple something fine and jointed moves. Spider or beetle, you cannot tell. The urge to jerk away nearly takes you again. Still. Still. The command becomes a prayer. You hear the coffer kneel. The sound comes close, very close. So close that you think, absurdly, he may hear your blood in the earth. His breath reaches you as a warm sourness through the draft in the gap. Beer. Old tobacco. Teeth gone wrong. Then the whisper. "If you're a man down there, make a sound again." It is not said kindly. It is said as one might address a dark room before opening it. You try. Your throat closes. What comes out is not a word, but a low torn scrape. More animal than human, half breath, half mud. Above, the boy makes a sound of his own. Jesus? The coffer shifts back at once. You hear cloth drag over loose soil. The heavy-footed man curses under his breath and says, "Hold your lantern steady." I am holding it steady. You're shaking. So are you. The accusation hangs between them. You nearly laugh then, and the madness of it frightens you more than the earth. To laugh here, to laugh with dirt on your lips and old death at your back. The mind is a strange servant in the dark. It reaches for whatever proves it still belongs to the living. The lantern lowers. You feel its warmth before you imagine its light. A different warmth from daylight, smaller, meaner, oil light, burial light, work light, a light that does not comfort, only reveals. Someone is widening the opening carefully now, not digging to free, digging to inspect. The shovel no longer strikes in broad bites. It nicks, it shaves, it tests the edge of the collapse. A few crumbs of earth shower down. Then a thin root brushes your forehead. Then a splinter of wood tumbles and lands beside your nose. Rotten coffin board. So you had guessed rightly. This place is layered with older dead. A whisper passes above you, too low to catch. Then the coffer again. "There's timber." The heavy-footed man answers, "There would be." "Not like this." A longer silence. Then the boy, quiet and unwillingly awed, "How many are under here?" That question, hanging over you in the wet dark, seems to change the trench itself. Until now you have thought only of your own body, your own breath, your own chance. But now the place grows larger in the mind, deeper, older. A stack of years pressed into one cut in London clay. How many? No one gives the boy an answer, because no one can. In London, when land ran short and death ran fast, numbers slipped their manners. Parish books missed names, grave markers shifted, trenches were reopened, bones were disturbed, gathered, moved aside, sometimes not even with malice, simply with fatigue. The city grew faster than its decencies. In crowded burial grounds, one coffin might be laid over another, while the lower one had barely settled. Sextons complained, vestries argued over fees, newspapers described foul vapors rising from urban churchyards in summer heat. Reformers demanded new cemeteries beyond the thickest press of houses. And still the dead kept arriving. All this you know in pieces, not as a scholar would. As a laboring man knows weather and wages, through rumor, through sights half-glimpsed, through the practical knowledge that some parts of London smell worse after rain because the ground there has eaten too much. The coffer scrapes again, more gently now. A slit of colder air touches your brow. Then, for the first time since the collapse, you see something. Not much. A line. A pale, wavering line no wider than a finger. Lantern light filtering through loosened soil. It is enough to make your whole body strain toward it. Enough to remind your eyes what seeing once was. The light trembles as the boy's hand trembles. Dust glitters in it. A single grain falls through and lands on your lower lip. You resist the urge to lick it away. Above, the heavy-footed man says, "If he's trapped in the old trench, then pulling him wrong brings the whole side down." The coffer answers. Leaving him does the same. No. Yes. No, it doesn't. It settles by morning. You hear it then. The shape of the man. Not cowardice exactly. Arithmetic. Morning means witnesses. Oversight. A parish clerk, perhaps. A foreman. Questions about unauthorized cutting. Questions about old burial ground reopened too cheaply. Questions that would not merely cost time, but money. Men like him do not fear corpses first. They fear blame. The boy speaks before either older man can fix the argument. He'll suffocate. A pause. Then, the heavy-footed man, harder than before. Then he'll do it quiet. The words strike deeper than the soil. For one black instant, the panic rises full and clean. No longer to thrash, but to scream. To spend everything. To force the world to hear you, even if the earth enters your lungs with the effort. But beneath that panic is something colder. Knowledge. A man who says such a thing can still be moved by one of two forces. Fear or witness. You do not have strength enough yet for witness. So fear must serve. You draw what little air you can. Not deeply, never deeply. Just enough to roughen the throat. Enough to pull one sound from yourself and make it wrong. When it comes, it is hideous. A wet, dragging moan. Human, but not comfortably human. The sound of a chest compressed by earth. The sound of a mouth full of grave dust. Above, chaos at once. The boy stumbles backward. You hear the lantern jolt and glass ring. The coffer curses aloud. The heavy-footed man drops the shovel entirely. It hits the ground and bounces once. Then the boy says the one thing you hoped he might say. That is no settling. Silence follows. Then, unexpectedly, the coffer laughs. Not from amusement, from nerves so sharp they have cut through into madness. I told you this patch was wrong. The heavy-footed man snaps. Shut your mouth. But his voice is changed now. Less certain. Smaller. The light steadies again. Closer this time. Closer than before. A little more soil is brushed away by hand. Not with tools. With fingers. That tells its own story. Men are rough with earth when they think only of tasks. They become delicate when they think something may look back. More cold air touches you. The slit widens. You see a fragment of lantern halo through roots and clumped clay. Then something pale. A hand. Not dead. Gloveless. Dirty. Knuckles split. Fingernails black with work. The coffer's hand probing the break. It touches your forehead. You nearly sob. The hand jerks away as if burned. "He's warm," the boy says. "Then pull him out." The heavy-footed man answers at once. "You can't know what's under him." Warm. Such a small word. And yet it changes everything. A warm thing must be accounted for. A warm thing may speak later. A warm thing may accuse. You hear the men reordering the future in their heads. If they save you, there will be trouble. If they bury you, there may be worse. The coffer mutters something about rope. The heavy-footed man says rope will crush the chest if you are pinned beneath plank or coffin lid. The boy says they can widen the side. The heavy-footed man says widening the side may break into older burials. The coffer says they already have. That lands heavily. Already have. So it is true, not merely a forgotten grave, a larger place below, a breached lair, an old trench disturbed, the city under the city. You understand then that your fall is not only accident, it is revelation. The sort of revelation London prefers to keep underground. Because one man trapped is misfortune. But a whole older bed of the dead, reopened beneath modern feet, that is scandal. That is newspaper copy. That is vestry embarrassment. That is the kind of thing respectable men call regrettable, while sending poorer men to shovel it closed by night. The boy says, "My father spoke of pits." Neither older man answers. He goes on anyway, because fear has made him talkative. From the bad years, he said sometimes they cut trenches when there were too many for proper burial. Still no answer. Perhaps they do not want the word said aloud. Pit, not grave, not vault. Pit, a word without manners, a word for numbers beyond care. The lantern moves again. This time its light reaches lower, deeper. Through the gap you see not only brightness but shape, a torn edge of timber near your jaw, the curve of damp clay. Beyond that, darkness descending, a darkness too open to be a single collapsed grave. The chamber below you is bigger than your body, much bigger, and from somewhere inside it, not above, not at the surface, but down and to your left, comes a small, brittle sound, a click, then another, so faint you almost think it is imagination. Bone against bone, perhaps, or wood settling, or a rat moving through old remains. But the next sound is unmistakable, a sigh of loosened earth from below, not from the men, not from the trench wall, from beneath you. The cavity is shifting. You feel it in your pinned leg first, a subtle giving way, then a tiny lowering under the hip. The earth that has held you suspended over emptier space is beginning to sag. The coffer feels it too. "Back," he says sharply. The heavy-footed man says, "I knew it. Back, damn you." But the boy does not retreat. You know this because the light remains, because his fear is no longer the fear of ghosts or bad ground. It is the fear of watching a man vanish while adults explain why. "You cannot leave him." The heavy-footed man rounds on him. "You want the whole lip down? You want 3 more buried?" The boy says, "Then get more hands." "At this hour?" "Yes." "With what money?" There it is again. Money. Always money. You can smell it, almost, in the argument. Not coins themselves, but the decisions they purchase. How deep a pauper is buried. How many bodies share a trench in a bad season? Whether quicklime is used. Whether churchyards are maintained. Whether the poor rot beneath respectable paving or beyond the city edge. London is measured not only in brick and fog and horse dung, but in how cheaply one class may be hidden from another. The ground shifts again. this time enough that dirt slides down into your collar. You cannot stop the sound that escapes you. A cough, then another. Mud touches your tongue. The boy cries out, "Now!" Everything breaks loose at once. The cougher throws himself back to the edge. His hand finds your hair, then your collar, then loses both as more soil slumps. The heavy-footed man swears and grabs for the shovel, perhaps to brace, perhaps to dig. The lantern swings wildly, throwing mad light through the gap. For one astonishing second, the chamber below flashes into being. You see ribs, a skull half sunk in clay, broken boards laid over older boards, a tangle of dark hollows where coffins have rotted down into one another. Not one grave, many. Then the light whips away. The cougher shouts for the boy to hold steady. The boy shouts that he is holding steady. The heavy-footed man shouts for silence. The trench wall gives a low, inward sigh. And from the deeper dark beneath you, from that reopened old bed of London's dead, something else follows the shift. Not movement. Not exactly. A smell. Trapped for years. Wet wood. Stagnant cloth. Lime gone sour. A sweetness so corrupt it feels almost oily in the throat. The men above fall silent again, because now they smell it too. The true breath of the place. The old trench. The one no list was meant to mention. The one your fall has opened. The boy whispers, "How many did they put here?" No one answers him, because in that moment, with the ground still settling and the old pit breathing upward at last, another truth has begun to form between all of you. If they pull you free, they must face what lies below. And if they do not, the earth may open wider on its own. The layer beneath the smell does not fade. It grows. Not quickly. Not like fresh rot or open decay. This is older, thicker, as if the air itself has been steeped in something that should never have been sealed. It creeps upward through the slit in the soil and settles on your tongue like oil. Above you, no one speaks. For a long time, the only sound is breathing. Yours, shallow and broken. The boy's, fast and uneven. The cougher's, rough and held. And the heavy-footed man's, slow, controlled, as if he could command the world back into order simply by refusing to acknowledge what stands before him. Then finally, we close it. The words land with quiet finality. The boy answers at once. No. We close it, the man repeats. Mark it. Come back with proper men. By morning he'll be dead. By morning he'll be a body, the man says. And bodies are what this ground is for. Silence again. Your chest tightens. Not from the soil, from the shape of that sentence. Bodies, not men, not voices, not breath. Bodies. A category. A solution. The city thinks in such terms. You feel the ground beneath your hip shift again. Lower. A fraction. Enough. Enough to know that whatever holds you here is not stable. That the old layer below has been disturbed. That weight is redistributing in ways no one above fully understands. And then, another sound. From below. Not the soft crumble of soil. Not the drip of water. A sharper thing. A knock. Faint. Distant. But real. Your heart stops. Because it does not come from above. It comes from beneath. You listen harder. There. Again. A dull contact. Wood on wood. Or bone on timber. Then stillness. Above you, the men do not react. They did not hear it. Only you. Only you. Pressed half into the earth. Balanced between layers of London's forgotten dead. A thought arrives. Unwelcome. And immediate. What if you are not the only one caught between them? You shut your eyes. No, no, it is settling. It must be settling. Old coffins, shifting. Boards collapsing. Nothing more. And yet, the sound had rhythm. Not regular, but not entirely random. You force your mind away from it. Above, the argument has begun again, quieter, but sharper now. "We need more hands," the boy says. "We need less foolishness," the heavy-footed man answers. "If we leave him, if we stay, we risk the wall. There's already a breach. And there will be a larger one. Then shore it." "With what?" "With timber." "What timber?" "Rotten plank? Look at it. This whole ground is rotten." A pause. Then the coffer, more softly than before. "We've opened something old." No one contradicts him, because all three of them have seen it now. The layer beneath. The one not meant for their work. The one that belongs to another time. Another kind of burial. In London, there are places where the ground remembers too much. Old trenches from the worst years. Times when carts came faster than prayers. When names were not written. When bodies were counted only by number. In those times the city did not bury. It stored. Layer upon layer. Earth over cloth. Cloth over bone. Bone over timber. And then, years later, new soil. New stones. New forgetfulness. Until someone like you, with a shovel and a wage too small to question, cuts into it again. The boy says, "We cannot just cover it." The heavy-footed man answers, "We can." The coffer does not speak. You feel his hesitation. His fear has changed shape. It is no longer about what might be under the ground. It is about what might be said above it. If this is discovered, if someone asks, if the wrong eyes see the wrong layer. There are things London prefers buried twice. You draw another shallow breath. It hurts now. Each one smaller than the last. Your chest is not failing. The space around it is. The soil presses. The gap narrows. Time is no longer a concept. It is weight. And then, the sound comes again. From below. Closer this time. A scrape. A pause. Then, a faint, hollow shift. You freeze. Every muscle, every thought, you do not even allow your eyes to move. Because now, you are certain. Something down there is not settled. It is not still. It is not finished. Above, the boy says something. You do not hear it. All of your attention is below, listening, waiting. Then, nothing. The silence returns. And with it, doubt. Was it real? Or the mind breaking under pressure? The body does strange things in the dark. It invents. It distorts. It searches for patterns where none exist. You try to believe that. You need to believe that. Because the alternative is worse than being buried alive. Above, the heavy-footed man makes his decision. "We close it halfway," the boy protests. "Halfway? We shore the sides. Mark the ground. Come back at first light with proper tools." And him? A pause. Longer this time. Then, "If he's alive in the morning, we'll pull him out." The words are calm, reasonable, almost kind. But you understand them for what they are. Delay, distance, a way to leave without saying the word, leave. The coffer shifts. You hear his boots scrape. He is stepping back. The boy does not move. You know this, because the light remains, shaking slightly, flickering. Then the boy speaks again, quieter, but with something new in his voice. "If we leave him, I'll hear it." No answer. "I'll hear it in the ground," he says. "Every time I come here." The heavy-footed man exhales, impatient. "You'll hear worse things than that if you keep working nights." The boy does not respond. And in that silence, something changes. Not in the men, in you. Because now, There is no more waiting, no more hoping they will choose you over themselves. The city has already made its decision, and it is not in your favor. You feel the ground shift again. Lower. Closer. The chamber beneath you is opening. The layer above you is closing, you are between them. And the balance is failing. A thought comes. Clear. Cold. Final. If you do not move now, you will never move again. But movement is danger. Noise. Collapse. Choice. You gather what strength remains. Not much. Enough. You test your right leg again. This time, it moves. Just a fraction. But it moves. Pain flares. Sharp. Bright. Alive. Good. You press again. Slowly. Carefully. The soil resists. Then gives a little. Enough. Above, the men are still arguing. Still deciding. Still delaying. Below. Something shifts. Closer now. Waiting. And for the first time since the earth closed over you, you make a decision of your own. You move. The coffin that was not empty. You move once, not twice. Once. A slow, careful pressure of your right leg against whatever holds it. The soil resists at first, then shifts with a soft, dangerous sigh. Something below you gives way. A board, perhaps, long softened by damp and time. The movement is small, but in this place, small things matter. Above, the boy's lantern flickers. Did you see that? The coffer answers, "Hold it steady." The heavy-footed man says nothing. You feel the change before you understand it. The weight on your lower body lessens. Not by much, but enough. Enough to tell you that the structure beneath you is not solid ground, but layers. Old layers. Breaking. Another inch. Another slow press of your leg. The board beneath you cracks. Not loudly, but clearly. A thin, dry sound. Like something brittle surrendering. And then, you drop. Not far, but far enough. Your body sinks into the layer below. The soil closes around your ribs. Your shoulder twists. Your face presses deeper into cold, damp clay. And then, your cheek touches something else. Not soil. Smooth. Curved. Cold. You freeze. Do not move. Do not breathe. Because you know that shape, even before your mind says it. Bone. A skull. Your face is against it. The realization spreads slowly, like cold water. This is not just a trench, not just a burial. You are inside them now, inside the place where the ground has failed to separate the dead from one another. You force yourself not to pull away, because panic is death, and death is already too close. Above, the men are shouting. The ground has shifted. They heard it. Back, the heavy-footed man snaps. The coffer stumbles. The boy nearly drops the lantern. Light swings wildly. For one brief moment, the gap opens wider, and the lantern beam reaches down into the layer where you now lie. And you see it. Properly. Not imagined. Not guessed. Seen. A collapsed coffin. Its lid broken inward. Its shape barely holding. Inside, bones. Not arranged. Not peaceful, disturbed, mixed, as if time itself had forgotten how to place them. A skull turned sideways, jaw open, ribs caved in, an arm bone angled wrong, not where it should be, not where it had been laid, because something has moved it. You cannot stop yourself. You look deeper, beyond this coffin, beyond the one layer, and you see more, another, and another. Fragments, splintered boards, dark hollows where wood has rotted away, spaces where bodies have sunk into each other over years, decades, centuries. London does not bury its dead. Not always. Sometimes it stacks them. A story surfaces in your mind, not from books, from whispers, from men who drink too much and talk too freely when the night is long. A story of a grave opened too early, a coffin lifted for relocation, a lid removed in daylight in front of witnesses, and what they found inside. Not stillness, not rest, but movement. Marks on the inside wood, scratches, fingernails broken, blood dried into splinters, a man buried too soon. You had laughed when you first heard it. Everyone does, because the alternative is unbearable. But now, pressed against bone, with soil closing around you, you understand why they told the story. Not to frighten, to warn. Above, the boy whispers, "There's a void under him." The heavy-footed man answers, "I can see that. We need to get him out now." "And bring the rest of it down? There are bones! There are always bones!" The shout echoes through the trench, through the layers, through the dead, and something about it feels wrong, too loud, too sharp, as if the ground itself resents the disturbance. You feel it again. Below, a shift, not from your movement, from deeper, a settling, or something else. You hold your breath. Listen. Nothing. Then, a faint crumble, farther down. You are not at the bottom. That thought lands with terrible clarity. You are not in the final layer. There is more beneath you. Older, deeper, unseen. Above, the coffer says, "We can't leave it like this." The heavy-footed man hesitates. For the first time. True hesitation. Not calculation. Not delay. Fear. Because now, he has seen it too. The breach, the layers, the truth of the ground. The boy says, "He's still alive." Silence. Then the heavy-footed man says, quieter than before, "Then we make him not fall any further. Not rescue. Not yet. Containment." They begin to work. Quick now. Urgent. The shovel returns, but not to dig you out. To pack, to brace, to push soil back into the opening, to stabilize the edges, to stop the collapse. And with every movement, every handful of dirt, the space around you tightens. The air grows heavier. The light narrows. You realize what they're doing. They are saving the trench. Not you. You try to speak. Nothing comes. Your throat is too dry, too full of earth, too far gone. The lantern dips once more. The boy looks down, directly at you. For a moment, your eyes meet. And in that moment, you see it. He understands. He knows. Not just that you are alive, but that if they do this, if they seal the ground, you will vanish into the same layers as the rest. Forgotten. Uncounted. Part of the pit. He opens his mouth to speak, to protest, to stop them. But the heavy-footed man's hand closes on his shoulder. Hard. Enough. The word is final. The soil falls again. Closer now. Heavier. You feel it gather along your neck, your jaw, your chest, and beneath you. The broken coffin shifts once more. A hollow sound. A deeper collapse. The layer below is giving way. You are running out of time. Above. Below. Both directions closing. And in that narrowing space, between the living who hesitate and the dead who do not, you understand something that London has always known, but never says aloud. The worst place in the city is not above ground. It is where the ground forgets to hold. The price of a breath. The soil presses closer. You feel it in the throat first. Not choking. Not yet. But narrowing. Every breath must pass through less space than the last. The air is still there, but thinner, heavier, used. Used by you. Used by everything that has ever been trapped here before. You do not think of that. You cannot afford to. Above, the men work faster. Not digging down, filling in, packing the edges, bracing the collapse, saving the trench. The heavy-footed man has taken control again. "Keep it tight," he says. Don't let the lip go. The coffer answers with short, urgent movements. Soil shifts, timber grinds. The sound of effort replaces the earlier hesitation. Only the boy lingers. His lantern still hangs above you, still shaking, still undecided. Your eyes find the light again. It is smaller now, further. A narrow window in a closing world. You try to raise your hand. Nothing. Try again. A twitch. Barely. Enough. Enough to prove you're not yet gone. You drag your fingers through the dirt. They scrape against wood, against splinter, against something that is not wood at all, a rib. You pull your hand away, slowly, carefully. The movement sends a thin cascade of soil down your arm. It settles. Wait. No collapse. Good. You try again. This time, you push. Not upward. Sideways. Testing. Searching for space. For weakness. For any direction that is not down. The soil gives slightly along your right side, a gap, not large but real. The broken coffin beneath you has shifted enough to create a pocket. A pocket of air. Small. Unstable. But yours. For now. You angle your face toward it. Breathe. The air is colder there. Staler. But it moves. That is enough. Above, the boy says, "He moved." The heavy-footed man answers, "Everything's moving." No, him, a pause, then the coffer, uncertain now. I felt it earlier. The heavy-footed man does not respond immediately. When he does, his voice is tighter. Keep working. The boy does not move. You know this. Because the light remains. Because hope, fragile as it is, still hangs above you. You force another breath. Slow, controlled. Your chest aches, not from panic, from effort. Every movement now costs more than it gives. You cannot waste them. You must choose. Carefully. You test your leg again. The right one. It moves. More this time. Pain flares. Sharp. Bright. Alive. Good. Pain means you are still inside your body. You press again. The coffin beneath shifts. A hollow creak. Then, a break. The wood gives way completely. Your lower body drops another inch. The soil above slides with it. Closer. Tighter. The pocket of air shrinks. You stop. Freeze. Wait. The ground settles. Barely. But it holds. For now. Below. Another sound. Closer now. Not imagined. Not mistaken. A slow, dry shift. Then, a soft collapse. Deeper still. You are not at the bottom. That truth is no longer a thought. It is a certainty. And something below is changing. Above, the coffer mutters, "This whole place is wrong." The heavy-footed man answers, "Finish it." The boy says nothing. Your eyes burn. The dirt has worked its way into the corners. Your lashes are heavy. Sticky. You blink slowly. Once, twice. The light blurs, then clears. Still there. Still yours. For now. A memory comes, unbidden, unwelcome. A story told in a narrow room above a tavern. A man who worked hospital carts, who spoke of bodies that were not quite still, of doctors who checked breath with mirrors, of coffins fitted with bells, strings tied to hands, so that if the buried woke, they could call. You had laughed then. Everyone did. Because the idea was absurd, too terrible to accept. But the man had not laughed. He had said, "It's not the waking that's the worst part." Someone asked him what was. He had taken a long drink, then said, "It's the waiting." The room had gone quiet after that. Now, you understand. The waiting. The moment between knowing and ending. Above, the boy moves, just slightly. Closer. The lantern dips. Light spills further down. You see his face now. Not clearly, but enough. Young. Too young for this work. Eyes wide. Not with horror. With decision. He whispers, "If I pull..." The heavy-footed man cuts him off. "You pull. You bring it all down. I can reach him. You can bury yourself with him." The boy hesitates. Your chest tightens. Not from lack of air, from something else, a different kind of pressure. Time. You cannot wait for them. You cannot depend on them. London has already chosen, and you are not part of that choice. You press your hand again into the soil. Sideways. Deeper into the gap. The dirt shifts. A little more space. You push your shoulder. Slow. Careful. The world narrows. Then widens. A fraction. Enough. Enough to turn your head slightly. Enough to pull your mouth free from the direct press of earth. You take a breath. Deeper this time. It hurts, it burns, it feels like swallowing knives. But it is air. Real air. And for a moment, you are alive again. Above, the boy sees it. He's breathing! The heavy-footed man swears. The cougher says nothing. Because now, there is no more pretending, no more delay. You are not a possibility. You are a man. Alive. Watching them. Waiting. And they must choose. Again. The ground shifts. Harder this time. Below. A deeper collapse. A hollow, rolling sound. The chamber beneath is opening. The layer you rest on is failing. You feel it. A tilt. A give. The world beneath you is not stable. It is waiting to fall. And when it does, you will go with it. Into whatever lies below. The boy steps forward. The lantern swings closer. His hand reaches down. Not touching yet, but reaching. The heavy-footed man grabs him, hard, pulls him back. Enough! The word echoes. Sharp. Final. The boy resists. For a moment. Then stops. His hand drops. The light lifts. The gap narrows. And in that instant, you understand something with perfect clarity. No one is coming. Not in time. Not enough. If you're going to leave this place, you must do it yourself. The ground shifts again. Stronger. Faster. The layer beneath you cracks. And this time, it does not stop. The sound. Inside the coffin. The ground gives way. Not all at once, not with a clean break, but in a slow, terrible surrender. You feel it first as a pull, a sinking. The support beneath your ribs softens, then shifts, then disappears entirely. Your body drops, this time farther. The soil follows, cascading, filling, closing. You do not scream. There is no air for it. Your mouth fills with dirt. Your chest compresses. Your shoulder slams against something hard. Bone, then wood, then emptiness. And then you stop, suspended again. But lower, much lower. The light above is smaller now, distant, like something seen through water. The voices are muffled, fading. You hear the boy shout, but the words do not reach you. The world has changed. You are no longer near the surface. You are inside it. Inside the layers. Inside the place where London has hidden what it could not manage. You lie still, not by choice, because movement now would finish what the fall has begun. The air here is different, colder, stiller, thicker. It does not move unless you force it. And even then, barely. You take a breath. It tastes wrong, not just earth. Something older. Something that has been sealed. You swallow it anyway. Because you must. Because breath, even foul breath, is still life. Your hand moves. Slowly. Testing. The space around you is tighter now. More confined. More structured. Your fingers brush against wood. Not splintered this time, intact, smooth, curved. You freeze. Because you know this shape. Not broken. Not collapsed. Whole. A coffin. You are pressed against it. Half inside its space. Half outside. The fall has forced you into a place not meant for the living. Your face is inches from its lid. You can feel the grain of the wood, the dampness, the age. You do not want to touch it. But your hand moves anyway, drawn by something you cannot name. You press your fingers against the surface. It gives.
slightly, softened by time, rot. And then you feel it. A line, a seam. The edge where the lid meets the box. Your breath stops, because the seam is not sealed. Not fully. There is a gap. Small, but real. You press closer, your ear against the wood. You do not know why. You do not want to know why. But something inside you, something older than reason, needs to know. You listen. Nothing. Only your own pulse, your own breath, your own fear. Then, a sound. So faint you almost miss it. A scrape. Inside the coffin, you pull back. Slowly. Carefully. No. No, it cannot be. The mind is breaking. The dark is twisting things. You force yourself to breathe, to think, to remember stories, old stories, men buried too soon, doctors who feared it. Coffins opened. Bodies turned. Marks on the inside wood. You had dismissed them. All of them. Because they belonged to the past. To ignorance. To fear. But this is not a story. This is not a rumor. This is here now with you. You press your ear back to the lid. Against your own will. You listen again. Silence. Then, another sound. Clearer this time. A slow, dragging movement. Wood against bone. From inside. Your chest tightens. Not from lack of air. From realization. Something was buried here. Not long enough ago. Not properly. Or, not dead. You pull your head back. Too fast. The movement sends soil shifting around you. The space tightens. Your shoulder presses harder into the coffin. Your leg sinks deeper into loose ground. You stop. Freeze. Wait. The earth settles. Barely. But enough. You do not move again. You cannot afford to. Not now. Not with this beside you. You turn your head. Slowly. Carefully. Away from the coffin. Toward the darkness. Toward anything else. But the space is too tight. Too confined. The coffin is everywhere. Beside you. Against you. Part of the space you now occupy. You cannot escape it. You cannot ignore it. And then, the sound comes again. Closer. Louder. A knock. From inside. Not random. Not settling. Not decay. A knock. You close your eyes. Because if you see the lid move, you will lose what remains of yourself. Above, faintly, voices. Distant now, unreachable. The boy shouting. The heavy-footed man cursing. The cougher calling for something. Rope? Light? Help? It does not matter. They are far away now. Too far. You are alone. With the coffin. With the sound. With the truth that London has tried to bury. And failed. The knock comes again. Stronger. Closer. Right beside your ear. You cannot stop it. You cannot escape it. And in that moment, pressed between the living world above and the not quite dead below, you understand the second fear. The one the doctors never spoke of. The one worse than being buried alive. Not being alone. The bell that was never heard. You do not move. You cannot. Because the sound has changed. It is no longer a knock. It is a pattern. Slow. Uneven. But deliberate. Inside the coffin. You press your lips together, forcing the breath to stay shallow. Silent. The air here is worse than before. Thicker. Stale. Carrying a weight that seems to press inward on your lungs rather than fill them. You listen. One. Pause. Another. Not frantic. Not wild. Measured. As if whatever is inside is conserving strength. Waiting. The thought forms without permission. It is not trying to escape. It is trying to be heard. Your chest tightens. Above, somewhere far above, you hear the scrape of tools, the shuffle of boots, the rising tension of men who have disturbed something they do not understand. But that world is fading. This one is closer. This one is immediate. The coffin, the sound, the presence. You turn your head, just a fraction, until your ear rests again against the wood. The surface is damp, softened. It yields slightly under your weight. And then, a faint vibration. From within, you pull back. Instinct, fear, something deeper. Because now, you know, this is not settling wood, not collapsing bone, not the slow work of decay. This is movement, contained, trapped, and very, very close. A memory rises, not from tonight, from long before. A conversation overheard. A man speaking of inventions, of coffins fitted with devices, strings tied to fingers, running up through the soil, attached to bells, so that if the buried woke, they could call. You had laughed then. Everyone had. Because it sounded like madness, like theater, like something told to frighten children or sell cheap pamphlets. But the man had not laughed. He had said, they wouldn't build them if no one needed them.
You remember the way the room had gone quiet after that. Now, in the dark, with the sound pressing against your skull, you understand why. Because the worst thing is not the idea of waking. It is the idea of waking, and no one coming. The sound stops. Suddenly. Completely. The silence that follows is worse, because now you wait. For it to return. For proof. For denial. For anything. Nothing comes. Your breath grows louder in your ears. Too loud. You force it down. Control it. Because if you cannot hear, you cannot know. And if you cannot know, you cannot survive. Time stretches. You do not know how long. Seconds. Minutes. Long enough for your muscles to ache from stillness. Long enough for the air to grow thinner. Long enough for doubt to creep in again. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe your mind. Then, a scrape. Closer than before. Not from the coffin. From beneath it. You freeze. Because that is different, that is new. The coffin shifts. Just slightly. But enough. Enough to press harder into your shoulder. Enough to tilt. And then, a second sound joins the first. From deeper. Below the coffin. Below the layer you occupy, another movement. Slower. Heavier. You are not alone in this space. Not just beside you. Beneath you. The realization is cold. Clear. Unavoidable. This is not one mistake. Not one burial gone wrong. This is a place where mistakes have gathered. Layered. Pressed together, forgotten. Until now. Above, faintly, the boy shouts something. You cannot hear the words. Only the urgency, the panic, the breaking point. The heavy-footed man answers. Sharply. Angrily. Then, a new sound. Rope. You know it instantly. The dry twist of fiber. The pull. The preparation. They are going to try. Not because of you. Because of the ground. Because something has gone too far. Because the trench itself is no longer stable. You feel a flicker of something. Hope, perhaps. But it dies quickly. Because the space around you is tightening again. The soil is settling. The layers are shifting. And every movement above sends more pressure down. You must move. But where? The coffin blocks one side. The wall presses on the other. Below, unknown. Danger. But also, space. Possibility. You test it. Slowly. Carefully. Your leg. The right one. You push downward. The soil gives. More than before. Too much. You stop. Because if you go too far, you will fall again. And this time, you do not know how far it goes. The rope drops. Above. A shadow passes across the narrow slit of light. The boy again. Closer. Braver now. Or more desperate. Can you hear me? His voice reaches you. Faint. But clear enough. You try to answer. Your throat closes. You force air. A sound comes. Weak, broken, but human. Above, a sharp intake of breath. "He's alive!" The rope lowers. Closer. You see it now. A dark line against the light. Swaying. Waiting. So close. And yet, impossible. Because your arms are pinned. Because your body is trapped. Because the space is too tight. You cannot reach it. You try anyway. Your hand moves. Barely. The soil shifts. The coffin presses. The sound inside it returns. Louder now, more urgent, as if whatever is inside has felt the change, the rope, the chance, the movement of the living above. You stop. Everything stops. Because now, you are no longer alone in wanting to leave. The coffin moves. A fraction. A tremor. And from inside, a sound. Not a knock. Not a scrape. Something worse. A breath. Dry. Weak. But real. Your mind fractures around it. Because this cannot be explained. Not by history. Not by stories. Not by reason. And yet, it is here. With you. The rope sways above. The light flickers. The ground shifts. And you are caught between three worlds. The living. The dead. And something that refuses to stay in either. The second burial. The rope sways. Closer now. Close enough that you can see the frayed fibers where it has been used too many times. Close enough to smell it. Dry hemp, sweat, old damp. Above, the boy leans further into the gap. "Take it," he whispers. You try. Your arm does not answer. You force it. Pain, sharp, blinding. Your hand moves an inch, perhaps. 2. The soil shifts with it. A small collapse. Dirt slides into your sleeve. Your elbow catches against the coffin. You stop. You must not rush. You must not panic. Because panic is what kills men here. Not the earth. The movement. The wrong movement. You draw a breath. Shallow. Controlled. And try again. Your fingers stretch. Reach. Almost. The rope swings away. Just beyond your grasp. You close your eyes. Not in despair. In calculation. Because now you understand something. The rope will not come to you. You must go to it. And to do that, you must move deeper. The thought is wrong. Everything in you rejects it. Down is death. Down is unknown. Down is the place where the sounds come from. But sideways is blocked. Up is unreachable. There is only one direction left. Below. The coffin shifts again. Closer now. Pressed harder into your side. The wood creaks. Soft. Weak. And from within, a movement. Not imagined. Not faint. Real. You freeze. The sound stops. Then, a slow, dragging pressure against a lid. From inside. You pull your arm back instinctively. The rope swings again above you. Unreachable. The boy whispers urgently, "You have to move." You know. You know. But not like this. Not with that beside you, not with that inside the wood. A memory surfaces, clearer than before. A story told not in laughter, but in warning. A burial reopened. Not for curiosity, for necessity. A family demanded it. Swore the man had not been dead. The coffin was lifted. Opened. In daylight. In front of witnesses. And inside, the body had turned. Hands clawed upward. Face twisted. Nails broken. And the lid scratched. Not from outside, from within. The doctor had said it was impossible. The gravedigger had said nothing. Because he had seen it before. More than once. You had dismissed it. Because stories grow in the telling. Because fear needs shape. But now, pressed against the wood, hearing the breath, you understand the truth beneath the story. It was never about one man, it was about many, buried too quickly, too carelessly, in places like this. The coffin jerks. A sudden, sharp movement. The lid bows inward. Just slightly. But enough. Enough to break the illusion. Enough to prove Something inside is still trying. Your chest tightens, not from the soil, from something deeper. Because now, you are not just trapped. You are not just buried. You are sharing this space with something that was never meant to wake. Above, the boy shouts, "Hurry!" The rope drops lower, closer, swinging towards you. This is the moment. The only one. You move. Not carefully now, not slowly. You push down. Hard. Your leg breaks through the weakened layer beneath. The ground gives way. Your body drops. Again. The soil collapses around you. The coffin tilts. Shifts. Slides. And then cracks. The lid splits. Not fully, but enough. Enough for something inside to move. You do not look. You cannot. Because the fall has opened space. A gap. A narrow shaft downward. Dark. Deep. But free. You grab for it. Your hand plunges into the void. Air, cold, real. You pull. Your body follows. The soil resists. Then releases. You slip. Fall, sliding into the lower chamber. The world changes again. The pressure above lessens. The space opens. You land hard. On something uneven. Bone, wood, cloth, long, rotted away. You gasp. Air fills your lungs. Foul. Heavy. But enough. Enough. Above. Light. Small now. Distant. The rope. Gone. Out of reach. The boy shouts. The heavy-footed man curses. The coffer calls your name. Or tries to. But you are no longer there. You are below. In the deeper layer. The older place. The true pit. You lie still. Listening. Because the fall has done more than free you. It has opened something. Behind you, above, the broken coffin shifts. The lid falls inward. And from the darkness above, something follows. Not falling. Not collapsing. Climbing. Slow. Unsteady. But deliberate. You do not turn. Not yet. Because you already know. The worst stories are never about the grave. They are about what comes after.
The depth where names are lost. You do not turn. Not immediately. Because in places like this, knowledge is not always a gift. Sometimes it is a weight, and you already carry too much. You lie still on the uneven ground, your breath loud in your own ears, your chest rising too fast, too hard. The air here is different. It moves. Barely, but enough to keep you alive. Enough to remind you that you are no longer pressed between layers. You are inside one. A chamber. A hollow. A space the earth forgot to close. You force your breathing slower. Controlled. Quiet. Because behind you, something is moving. You hear it. Not clearly. Not constantly. But enough. A shift. A scrape. Something dragging itself through broken wood and loose soil. Following. The thought lands without panic now. Not because it is less terrifying. Because there is no room left for panic. You roll, slowly, onto your side. Careful. Measured. Your hand presses into the ground beneath you. It is not soil here, not fully. A mixture, loose dirt, fragments. Shapes that give under your weight. Too smooth to be stone, too hollow to be earth. Bone. You do not pull away. You cannot afford to. Instead, you sit up. Slowly. The chamber reveals itself in pieces. Not all at once. Never all at once. Your eyes adjust. The darkness softens. Shapes emerge. Collapsed coffins. Broken boards. Fragments of rib cages half sunk into the ground. A skull turned toward you, jaw open, as if it had been trying to speak when the earth took it. And beyond that, more. Rows. Not arranged. Not ordered. Just there. Accumulated. Layer upon layer. A place where burial stopped being personal, stopped being careful, stopped being human. You understand now what this is. Not a grave. Not a yard. A pit. A real one. The kind whispered about. The kind used when there were too many bodies and not enough time. In London, during the worst years, the city could not keep up with death. Carts moved through streets at night. bodies collected quickly.
Names forgotten, records lost, and when the churchyards filled, they dug trenches. Long, deep, unmarked. Filled them, covered them, and moved on. The city above forgot. But the ground below did not. You push yourself to your feet. Unsteady, weak, but standing. For the first time since the earth closed over you, you are upright, alive, breathing. You look up. The opening above is small now, distant. The lantern light flickers like a dying star. Voices echo faintly. Too far, too muffled. They are no longer part of your world. You are below, alone, except you are not alone. The sound comes again, closer now, behind you. You turn, slowly, because fast movement here feels like an invitation for the ground to remember you, to take you back. The darkness shifts, not visibly, but perceptibly. Something moves between the broken shapes, low, unsteady. A silhouette forms, not clear, not defined, but human, or once human. It stops. You stop. The space between you holds. Tight. Heavy. Waiting. You do not speak. Because whatever it is, it does not belong to the world above. It belongs here. To this place. To this layer. And you do not. A memory returns. Not from taverns. Not from rumor. From a man who worked burial detail during a bad season. He had said, the worst part wasn't the number. Someone asked what he meant. He had taken a long breath, then said, it was the ones who moved after. No one had laughed at that. You take a step back, slow, careful. The ground shifts slightly beneath your foot. Loose, unstable. You adjust your weight. Stay balanced. The figure does not follow. Not yet. But it does not retreat either. It remains, watching, waiting, as if deciding what you are, as if measuring you. Alive. Not yet part of this place, but close, very close. Above, a voice, faint. The boy. Are you there? You look up. The light flickers. Still there. Still reachable, but far. Too far to climb directly. The walls are not walls. They are layers. Loose, unstable. Every hold a risk. Every step a chance to bring everything down. And behind you, the movement. Closer now.
The depth where names are lost. You do not turn. Not immediately. Because in places like this, knowledge is not always a gift. Sometimes it is a weight, and you already carry too much. You lie still on the uneven ground, your breath loud in your own ears, your chest rising too fast, too hard. The air here is different. It moves. Barely, but enough to keep you alive. Enough to remind you that you are no longer pressed between layers. You are inside one. A chamber. A hollow. A space the earth forgot to close. You force your breathing slower. Controlled. Quiet. Because behind you, something is moving. You hear it. Not clearly. Not constantly, but enough. A shift. A scrape. Something dragging itself through broken wood and loose soil. Following. The thought lands without panic now. Not because it is less terrifying. Because there is no room left for panic. You roll, slowly, onto your side. Careful. Measured. Your hand presses into the ground beneath you. It is not soil here, not fully. A mixture, loose dirt. Fragments. Shapes that give under your weight. Too smooth to be stone, too hollow to be earth. Bone. You do not pull away. You cannot afford to. Instead, you sit up. Slowly. The chamber reveals itself in pieces. Not all at once. Never all at once. Your eyes adjust. The darkness softens. Shapes emerge. Collapsed coffins. Broken boards. Fragments of rib cages half sunk into the ground. A skull turned toward you, jaw open, as if it had been trying to speak when the earth took it. And beyond that, more. Rows. Not arranged. Not ordered. Just there. Accumulated. layer upon layer. A place where burial stopped being personal, stopped being careful, stopped being human. You understand now what this is. Not a grave, not a yard, a pit. A real one, the kind whispered about, the kind used when there were too many bodies and not enough time. In London, during the worst years, the city could not keep up with death. Carts moved through streets at night. Bodies collected quickly.
Names forgotten, records lost, and when the churchyards filled, they dug trenches. Long, deep, unmarked. Filled them, covered them, and moved on. The city above forgot. But the ground below did not. You push yourself to your feet. Unsteady, weak, but standing. For the first time since the earth closed over you, you are upright, alive, breathing. You look up. The opening above is small now, distant. The lantern light flickers like a dying star. Voices echo faintly. Too far, too muffled. They are no longer part of your world. You are below, alone, except you are not alone. The sound comes again, closer now, behind you. You turn, slowly, because fast movement here feels like an invitation for the ground to remember you, to take you back. The darkness shifts, not visibly, but perceptibly. Something moves between the broken shapes, low, unsteady. A silhouette forms, not clear, not defined, but human, or once human. It stops. You stop. The space between you holds. Tight. Heavy. Waiting. You do not speak. Because whatever it is, it does not belong to the world above. It belongs here, to this place, to this layer. And you do not. A memory returns. Not from taverns, not from rumor. From a man who worked burial detail during a bad season. He had said, the worst part wasn't the number. Someone asked what he meant. He had taken a long breath, then said, it was the ones who moved after. No one had laughed at that. You take a step back, slow, careful. The ground shifts slightly beneath your foot. Loose, unstable. You adjust your weight. Stay balanced. The figure does not follow. Not yet. But it does not retreat either. It remains, watching, waiting, as if deciding what you are, as if measuring you. Alive. Not yet part of this place, but close, very close. Above. A voice. Faint. The boy. Are you there? You look up. The light flickers. Still there. Still reachable, but far. Too far to climb directly. The walls are not walls. They are layers. Loose. Unstable. Every hold a risk. Every step a chance to bring everything down. And behind you, the movement. Closer now. The trade. Beneath the city. The air changes first. You feel it along your lips. Colder, thinner, moving. Not much, but enough to carry the faintest trace of something beyond rot. Smoke. Distant. Faint. But real. You follow it. Because in this place, anything that comes from above is worth risking everything for. Your steps are slow, measured, each one tested before weight is given. The ground here is worse. Less soil, more remains. Bones shift underfoot. Hollow sounds echo with every movement. You try to step where the earth is thicker, where it might still remember how to hold. Behind you, the sound continues, dragging, unsteady, but relentless. You do not look back again, because looking back changes nothing, only slows you down. Ahead, the chamber opens further, and with it, something new. Shapes. Not natural, not random, arranged. You stop, because this is different. This is not collapse, not decay. This is work, old work, careful work, done by hands that knew what they were doing. A narrow passage, cut deliberately through the lower layer. Timber supports, rough, but placed. Reinforcing the walls, keeping the earth from closing. You step closer. Touch the wood. Solid. Not rotten. Not like the coffins above. This was built later, after the pit, after the burial, after the forgetting. Someone came back into this place on purpose. A memory rises, not from stories told in jest, from whispers spoken carefully. Grave robbers, resurrection men, men who worked at night, who dug where others would not, who took bodies from fresh graves and older ones and sold them to surgeons, to schools, to men who needed corpses, but did not ask where they came from. In London, the demand for bodies grew faster than the law allowed. Doctors needed them. Students studied them. Knowledge advanced on the backs of the unclaimed, the poor, the forgotten, the buried. And so, men came to places like this, not to bury, but to take. You look down at the ground and see it. Clear now. Not scattered, not random. Bones. Separated. Sorted. A skull here. A femur there. Ribs stacked. Not carefully, but deliberately. Organized enough to move, to carry, to sell. This is not just a pit. It is a source. Was a source. And you are standing in it. The passage continues ahead. Narrow, low, but stable. More stable than the open chamber. More dangerous, too. Because this place has purpose, and places with purpose are rarely empty. Behind you, the sound changes. Closer now. No longer just movement. Breath. You hear it. Ragged. Dry. Close enough that it echoes differently. You turn. Slowly. You cannot avoid it any longer. The figure stands at the edge of the chamber, partially lit by the faint glow filtering from above. Enough to see, but not clearly enough to understand. A body, thin, bent, clothing clinging in strips. Face, wrong. Not fully visible, but not still. Not empty. Not at rest. It sways, slightly, as if balancing, as if remembering how to stand. Your chest tightens, but your mind remains cold. Because now, you understand something else. This is not a ghost, not something from stories. This is someone who was here, who fell, who was left, like you. The realization is worse than fear, because it means this place does not let go. You take a step back, into the passage. The figure moves, forward, slow, dragging, but following, always following. You turn away, into the tunnel, because now there's only one path, forward. The passage tightens. You duck slightly, the ceiling low, the supports close, the air colder, cleaner, fresher. You breathe, deeper, easier. Life, just ahead. You move faster now, careful, but faster, because behind you, the sound is changing, gaining rhythm, learning, adjusting, as if whatever follows is remembering how to move. The tunnel curves, slightly. The light ahead grows stronger. Not lantern. Different. Flickering. Natural. From above. An opening. Somewhere. Close. You push forward. One more step, then another. The ground here is firmer. Packed. Used. This path has been walked, many times, by men who knew where they were going. Men who came down and left. You reach the bend. Turn. And stop. Because the passage does not lead to freedom. Not yet. It leads to another chamber, smaller, cleaner. And inside, something remains. Not bones, not fragments. A body, whole, laid out. Not buried, not forgotten. Placed, as if waiting. You stare, because this is not part of the pit. This is something else, something deliberate, something hidden. Behind you, the sound enters the passage. Closer, faster. No longer dragging, walking, and you understand, too late, that whatever used this place before did not just take from it. It left something behind. The sound that started it. You know this moment. Not because you have lived it, but because it has been waiting for you since the beginning.
the shovel, the sound, the movement beneath the ground. This is where it returns. You stand at the threshold of the smaller chamber. The body lies ahead of you, still, arranged, wrong. Behind you, the passage breathes. The thing that followed you is closer now, closer than it has ever been. And somewhere above, far above, you hear it again. The sound that began everything, a dull, hollow strike, metal on something that gives, not soil, not stone, something with space inside it. The shovel. You freeze, because now you understand. That sound was not random, not an accident, not just your fall. It was this place, answering. You close your eyes, just for a moment, and memory shifts, aligns, clarifies. You are back there again, standing in the trench, the shovel in your hands, the ground soft beneath your boots, the boy holding the lantern, the heavy-footed man watching. You remember the strike, clear now. Not just the impact, but what followed. The give, too soft for earth, too hollow for stone. And then, the movement. You had told yourself it was collapse, old timber, loose soil. But it wasn't. It was this, the layer, the chamber, the place beneath. You had not broken into empty ground. You had opened a path, and something had felt it. The realization settled slowly, like the earth itself. The sound you heard, the first sound, did not come from above. It came from below. The shovel struck, and something answered. Your eyes open. The body in the chamber does not move, but now you see it differently, not as a corpse, as a marker, a boundary, a point between places. This is where the tunnel ends, and the pit begins again, but deeper, older, more controlled. The resurrection men knew this place, used it, walked it, took from it, and sealed it behind them, until you broke it open again. Behind you, a step, closer. You turn.
The figure stands at the entrance to the chamber. Clearer now. The light from above catches parts of it. Enough. Enough to see what matters. The posture. The way it holds itself. Not quite upright. Not quite collapsed. The head tilted slightly. As if listening. As if remembering. And then, you see the hands. The fingers. Broken nails. Dark. Worn. Scratched. You know those marks. You have seen them before, in stories, in warnings, in the inside of coffins, when they are opened too late. This one was not meant to be opened. But something changed. Something moved. Something woke. And it found a path. The same path you used. The same break you made. You step back. Slow. Measured. Because now, this is no longer about escape. It is about understanding. Because if you understand, you might survive. Above, another strike. The shovel again. Louder. Closer. The men are still there. Still digging. Still trying to control something they no longer can. And now, you understand why. The ground did not just collapse. It opened. From below. You look at the body in the chamber again. Closer now. Something about it. Wrong. You step forward. Carefully. Because you must see. You must know. The face is turned slightly away. The skin, not gone, not fully. Preserved. In the cold. In the sealed air. Time has touched it, but not taken it. And then, you see the chest. It is not still. Not rising, not breathing, but shifted. As if something inside it once tried to move. You step back again. Because the truth is forming. Slow. Cold. Unavoidable. This place does not just hold the dead. It holds those who were not finished. Those who were buried before they were gone. Those who woke after and had nowhere to go. The figure behind you takes another step. Closer. The sound of its movement is clearer now. Not dragging. Walking. Imperfect. but learning, adapting. You are not the first. You will not be the last. The pit does not forget. It waits. And when it is opened, it answers. Above, the light shifts. The rope drops again. Faint, distant, but there, a chance, still. You look between the rope, the body, and the thing behind you. 3 paths, 3 outcomes, and only one leads back to the world you know. You take a breath, slow, controlled. Because now, you finally understand the truth behind the sound that started it all. The ground did not move. It called, and you answered. What the earth keeps. The rope sways above you, thin, fragile, uncertain, but real. For the first time since the ground closed over your face, there is a path back. Not safe, not easy, but possible. Behind you, the figure steps closer. You hear it now with terrible clarity. Not a drag, not a stumble, a walk, slow, learning, as if each step teaches the next, as if whatever it is remembers what it used to be. You do not look at it again, because you no longer need to. You understand. And understanding is worse than sight. You turn toward the rope. The chamber around you feels smaller now, tighter, as if the earth itself is aware of your decision, as if it does not intend to let you go without cost. Above, the boy's voice, faint, desperate. I see him. The rope lowers further, closer, within reach, if you move. But movement here is risk. Everything shifts. Everything responds. You take one step forward. The ground holds. Barely. Another. The bones beneath your feet shift. A hollow crack. You freeze. Wait. The earth settles. You move again. Closer. The rope swings toward you. Your hand rises. Slow. Careful. Every motion measured. Because this is the last chance. You reach and catch it. The fibers bite into your palm. Real, solid, alive, above. A sharp intake of breath. Hold on. The boy's voice. Closer now. Stronger. You wrap the rope around your wrist. Twice. Tight. You pull. Test it. It holds. You begin to climb. Not fast, not strong, but enough. Your feet find purchase. The wall gives slightly, but not too much. You move again. Up. One pull, then another. The chamber below shifts. The figure moves faster now, closer. You hear it, feel it. The air changes behind you. Pressure, movement, awareness. It knows. It understands what you're doing. You climb faster. The rope tightens. Above, hands. Reaching. The boy leans down, too far, too dangerous. But he does not stop. You are halfway. The wall cracks. A line of soil breaks free. Falls.
The chamber below opens wider, and from it, a sound. Not a knock, not a breath. A voice. Broken, dry, but unmistakable. Your body freezes, because it says something. Not clearly, not fully, but enough. Enough to understand. A word, or part of one. A plea, or a warning. You do not turn. You cannot. Because if you do, you will not leave. You pull again. Harder. Your arms burn. Your chest screams. Your lungs fight for air. But you move. Up. Closer. The boy's hand reaches yours. Grabs. Tight. Too tight. But it holds. The coffer is there too. Pulling. The heavy-footed man behind him. All three now. Working together. Not arguing, not hesitating. Too late for that. Now, they are saving themselves. By saving you, the ground gives way. Below, the chamber collapses. The figure lost in the fall. The sound cut short. The earth closes. Fast. Violent. Final. You are pulled free. Up. Out. Into the cold night air. You fall onto the ground. Hard. Breathing. Alive. The sky above you is wrong. Too open. Too wide. Too clean. You gasp. Air fills your lungs. Real air. Cold. Sharp. Free. You cough. Spit dirt. Roll onto your side. The world spins. Then steadies. The men stand above you. Silent. Changed. The boy stares. The cougher looks away. The heavy-footed man says nothing. Behind them, the trench. Collapsed. Sealed. As if it had never been opened. As if nothing had been disturbed. As if the ground had simply corrected itself. You try to speak. No words come, only breath, only life. The boy kneels beside you. "You're out," he says. As if you might not know. As if saying it makes it real. You nod. Slowly. Because that is all you can do. Time passes. You do not know how long, minutes, maybe more. The men begin to move again. Not to dig. Not to reopen. To leave. To forget. To bury the place in memory, as the earth has buried it in truth. No one speaks of what was below. No one will, because some things in London are not meant to be known, only survived. You sit up, slowly.
The ground beneath you feels strange, too solid, too certain, as if it has nothing beneath it. But you know better. You look at the place where the trench was. Nothing remains. No opening, no sign. Only earth. Flat. Silent. Final. And yet, as you listen, very carefully, you think you hear it. Faint. Impossible. From somewhere deep below. A sound. Not loud, not clear, but there. Waiting. Not gone. Never gone. Because the truth of the city is not written in its streets, or its buildings, or its history. It is written in the ground, and the ground remembers. Every mistake, every body, every voice that was never heard. You stand, unsteady, alive, and you understand something that will stay with you long after this night fades into morning. You did not escape the pit. You were released. And somewhere beneath London, in the layers no one speaks of, the earth is still listening. This is not a horror story. This is history.